Hi, this is Brian Murnihan with To Go, and we're here with Saul David, talking to him about DFH Transportation and Logistics. And Sal, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your business?
Yeah, well, it's a pleasure for to be here. So I appreciate just taking the time to sit down and learn a little about what we're doing and some of the things that we've been experiencing over these last couple of months. I'm in transportation, logistics. We do full truckload services for um, large manufacturers and distributors. Some of the ones that we work with that you may have heard of as Tempur-Pedic and Sealy. We ship bottled water for um, Premium Waters, which is here local, right off of 114. We also do the Takis chips. It's kind of like a rolled up spicy Dorito. But essentially, we provide the full truckload services for these manufacturers and distributors and take it from their warehouse and deliver it to different distribution centers all over the country.
Wow, I didn't realize you actually were kind of a national group. I thought you may have just stayed here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
We do have we have a set number of units that stay here local, but we do over the road. I mean, we have some areas that we go to more consistently, but our company is permitted to go to all 48. So we hit most of the major metropolitans, starting in LA, Phoenix, Albuquerque, going up to the Midwest through Kansas City and Chicago and Detroit, eastward for Atlanta, Miami, and then up towards the Carolinas and into the Northeast.
So we're here mid-May, and obviously we've been dealing with this coronavirus thing on a major way for a solid 2 months now. Can you tell me a little bit about how that's impacted business?
Well, there's been so many different variables that combined made a big impact on what we were doing. I think going into this, we knew there was going to be some changes and some challenges, but I think that nobody had a real comprehension of the magnitude that it was going to be. Where you might go get gas and see gas prices going down, and that puts a smile on people's face, but our billing process to our clients has a fuel surcharge component to it that's independent from the line haul price. So when fuel goes down, that means the billable amounts that I can charge our customers, that also goes down. So that affects our overall revenue. And so when fuel dropped the way that it did during all of this, that had a financial impact almost immediately across the board. Another thing that it did was the supply and demand sort of started to scale out. Initially there was a tremendous amount of concern, I think, just for the safety of the drivers. So a large portion of not only our drivers, but just drivers across the country opted out from participating in, just day-to-day work. Even though transportation or logistics was considered an essential industry, it was still by discretion. If somebody feels like they're putting their health in jeopardy or their family in jeopardy by going out and working, so a large portion of drivers just stopped working.
Wow.
So then the supply and demand gets offset, and then all of a sudden, something that used to cost a shipment that maybe cost $500 to go from here to San Antonio, now the cost is almost doubled because there's half as many truck drivers out there doing the work, and so the supply and demand affects the market share cost that it takes to get a truck from anywhere. So then we were kind of scrambling, trying to figure out how to deal with that. Then it sort of went the other way, where you started seeing the consumer bottleneck issue. I mentioned earlier that we ship for Tempur-Pedic, and that's a consumer-driven product. So when they said that if you were not an essential business, that you had to close your doors, so every mattress firm and every other furniture store that sells mattresses, since they weren't open, they weren't selling mattresses, so there was no need to replenish the mattress. So therefore, the distribution center to the store, which was the transportation leg that we took care of, just went away. Not because the contract was bad or because people stopped needing mattresses, but just the businesses weren't open. So over the course, week after week, we started to see a significant amount of the consistent work that we had in Atlanta, in Indiana, Phoenix, and right here in Roanoke, just started to diminish week over week. So there was the idea of how many other customers do we have that has a consumer-driven product that this essential bottleneck issue is going to affect it. So right when we thought we were tackling one issue, another one would surface, and we'd have to look at that and see how we were going to adjust and address it. So it's just it was a lot. There was a lot happening, relatively quickly. That was external. That wasn't even internal. The office and how do we keep our employees safe? How do we make sure that we're practicing social distancing? Making sure that everybody has the right equipment to go remote if we have to. I've got 2 kids of my own. Half my staff has kids, and so kids are staying home from school, and so now I've got people that have the technology to work remote, but isn't necessarily a work environment when you've got Dora the Explorer in the background, dogs barking, and you're trying to, talk with your customers and, high-level corporate conversations about big situations going on, and then, your 5-year-old runs across the thing. So it was tough in the beginning, but I think the human element started to settle in across the board, where it didn't matter if you were a C-level executive or just a blue-collar warehouse worker, that to some degree we all had the same struggles as that we were adapting to something new. And so I'd say the politically correct or the professionally conscious things like that became less of a factor, and producing results during this challenging time was really started to become the underlining focus. Not what you're wearing, how clear is your Zoom, how great is the audio. It was, can your business continue to function? Can we still turn a profit? Do the employees still have positions and jobs? And so as the main thing became the main thing, then a lot of the superficial concerns that we had early on started to become less important. And to be honest, the longer we did it, the better we got at it. So we quickly learned what programs we were using, logging in remotely to the server, that kind of stuff. Every business is a little different, but I think inside of about a week and a half, we had a pretty good handle on how we were gonna function, to it. So there was reluctancy, I think, from everybody in the beginning, but looking back on it, even when things go back to whatever the normal is gonna be, I think that we're gonna be utilizing this whole remote with our team a lot more than we would have had this not happened, because it's effective, and for some of our employees that travel a great distance, and that really plays a part in how effective they can be at their position. This may be something that we have like a hybrid moving forward that would be half the time in the office and half the time remote. So
Sure.
It hasn't been all bad.
Well, that's good. I mean, it's good that you're already looking towards what that opportunity is in the future, and how the current situation, what you've learned now, can hopefully help save some money down the road and create a better lifestyle for your families and for your employees. So that's good that you're already seeing those opportunities and taking advantage of putting those things in place. I guess, tell me a little bit about how you got into logistics. I mean, is this a family business? Is it, tell me.
I don't think anybody as a kid says, when I grow up, I want to be a logistics coordinator. I mean, maybe, but that wasn't the case for me. To be honest, I think I was 20, 21 when I first got exposed to logistics. And I really just needed a grown-up job. I was doing off jobs. I bartended and waited tables. But I really liked dealing with people. I love meeting new people. I wouldn't say that I excelled academically, but I was always good at math, and numbers seemed to come really natural to me. And so this specific industry, when I was first exposed to it, I had a different viewpoint of, I think, what it was. I don't know what I thought. I'm thinking fishnet hats and I don't know what I thought, but it just had a different perspective. And when I saw that this was really the backbone of everything you touch, everything that you eat, everything that you wear, at some point it's on a truck going from A to B. And the sophistication of the communication and information and the infrastructure just really, and there was just so much, the numbers were so big in terms of revenue and costs, and it was just like everything was amplified. And so I was drawn in real quick. I love the fast pace of it. I loved all the variables, talking to different people, and everything was numbers driven. How many miles is it? How heavy is it? How much fuel is it going to use? What is the wind like? How much snow do we have? What does traffic happen? And so it required a lot of foresight and numerical challenges that just came natural to me. So, I excelled quickly at something, not really because it was my passion, but I think that some of the natural God-given abilities that were inside of me just were given an opportunity to flourish in an environment where what other people said was ADD or, you talk too much. All of these things started to come together like in this perfect recipe of, being able to perform at a high level in this particular industry.
So I guess I've never been in logistics or even anything close. If there's somebody out there right now that's shut down or is got a little extra time on their hands and they have this genius idea about some business that they want to start and they need a logistics provider, how do you get in touch with someone like you, and what type of considerations what do you want to know from them so that you can provide them a service?
Well, I tell people it's mostly planning. It has more to do with what you're trying to achieve, and you kind of reverse engineer it. So whether you're trying to, ship a box of, personal belongings to a family member across the country, or you're looking to ship a full truckload of, mattresses or, truckload of Coke, whatever it is that you're looking to do, it's how you need to get it there, how fast do you need it, are you looking for the cheapest way, or are you looking for the fastest way, and so all these elements come into play. I don't think that we don't typically do like consumer, direct to customer type stuff, so people don't pull up to Google and say, I need to get a truck, so let me find somebody. We typically work business to business. We do from distribution and manufacturing to warehousing, things like that. But it doesn't mean that we couldn't. So I think trying to find out the best way of the size. But if you were looking at large scale, then I'd say just contacting us and looking at what you're trying to do, and we'll give you options. So we also have a brokerage division. So sometimes even if it doesn't go on our truck, we can offer a solution. Whether what you have, if it's more cost effective to go on a flatbed or a dry van. We work with some roofing companies that have these small roofing kettles that can go on a flatbed, but if flatbeds aren't available or they're not cost effective, then they can go in the back of a dry van because they fit from the dimensions. So it's sort of like going to FedEx on steroids, where they give you options, how fast do you want to get it there, and things like that. But technology is just really taking a hold of the whole transportation industry over the last 5 or 6 years. It's just completely changed everything. Between a smartphone being a common asset that almost everybody has, to where it used to be you had to pay a lot of money for GPS tracking on an actual tractor, whereas now you can temporarily download an app and I can track a driver while he's in transit just through a cell phone.
Yeah.
With the weather forecasting and things like the Google Maps, and hey, I need to take a second route because there's a flat tire, and being able to locate things so quickly through these intricate websites that they have for just everything. It's just made the whole way we do business. Everyone has to be sharper and faster. There's not a redefining transportation. It's going to go on a truck and the wheels can only spin so fast, but the planning and preparation and tracking abilities are so in depth now that it gives customers a lot more visibility and a lot more peace of mind.
So if somebody wants to get in touch with you to do some business, what do they need to do?
I say go to, first thing is go to our website. It's www.dfhtransportation.com. We have an instant chat feature on the website if you just want to get some basic information. You can call our home office, and here locally it's 817-367-7001. We also have an office in Hermitage, Pennsylvania that handles a lot of our East Coast business, and so it just depends on where you're trying to do. Email is always a great way to communicate. Mine is sdavid@dfhtransportation.com. I think that whatever people's personal preference is, but communicating in general is usually a good indication of how something's going to go from beginning to end for us.
That's a good deal. Anything that I missed that you think would be interesting to share?
No, I think the whole idea of the transition that we've gone through, we've talked with other business owners, not even from our industry, but just in general. I think that one of the things that we've been focusing on is keeping the morale of our team high. We made commitments early on that we were going to do our very best to not lay people off, and so we've been repurposing our downtime. Looking at, instead of just waiting for work, we've been looking on cultivating the relationships that we've already have. I don't know that I would say this is an ideal time to be soliciting new business, but it's been a great time for us to be able to tap in to our existing customers, and reach out and just spend some time getting to see how this is affecting them, and if there's anything we can do to help them through this challenging time, and just understanding that everybody to some degree is feeling this, and doing our best to support them, not only financially but also mentally, because it's a lot for people to take in, and I think that as we spin out of this to whatever the new norm is, that this really highlights people's ability to how they function during this kind of crisis. We've had some team members that have really shown some tremendous leadership skills and some adaptability, and so these are the kind of things that you can't manufacture. So it has been nice to try to take this and look at it from a lens of what have we seen, who was able to do what, and maybe even repositioning some people based on what we have found as new strengths that we didn't know existed beforehand.
Well, that's outstanding. Well, Sal, I want to thank you for coming on, and really appreciate you, as always, just spending some time and talking to me, and look forward to seeing you again sometime soon.
Yeah, likewise, I appreciate it.
Great, thank you.
Brian.